The 10 plagues of Egypt, did they really happen? According to Jewish tradition, the 10 plagues were divine interventions that led to the liberation of the Israelites from Egyptian bondage. These events are detailed in the Torah, specifically in the book of Exodus. Believers assert that the plagues were a series of miraculous events orchestrated by God to demonstrate his power over the Egyptian gods and to compel Pharaoh to release the Israelites. Each plague targeted specific aspects of Egyptian life and religion, from turning the Nile to blood to the death of the firstborn. To examine the historical validity of these accounts, researchers have turned to various disciplines, including archaeology, genetic science, and textual analysis. One prominent study by climatologist Dr. Barbara Sivitson suggests that a volcanic eruption on the Greek island of Santorini around 1600 BCE could have set off a chain reaction that aligns with the biblical plagues. The eruption might have caused environmental disruptions, such as red-tinted waters due to algal blooms, which in turn could have led to the proliferation of frogs, insects, and disease. In terms of archaeological evidence, however, the record is less conclusive. Excavations in Egypt have yet to provide direct evidence of the plagues themselves. The lack of Egyptian records documenting these catastrophic events is often cited by skeptics as a significant counterargument. Yet proponents argue that Egyptian scribes would be unlikely to record such a national humiliation. Furthermore, Dr. James Hoffmeyer, a biblical archaeologist, posits that settlement patterns in the Nile Delta region, specifically in the city of Avaris, suggest a significant Semitic presence that could correlate with the biblical timeline of the Exodus. Genetic science has also entered the debate. Dr. Eran Elhaik and colleagues have conducted studies on the genetic makeup of modern Jewish populations, tracing lineages back to ancient Near Eastern origins. While these studies do not directly prove the Exodus narrative, they do support the presence of ancestral connections to the regions mentioned in the biblical accounts. A strong counterargument against the historicity of the plagues is the lack of corroborating evidence from contemporary Egyptian records. The absence of such documentation is often interpreted as a sign that the events were either exaggerated or fabricated. Critics like Egyptologist Dr. Zahi Hawass argue that the silence in Egyptian texts is telling, given the extensive records from the period. However, this argument is not without its weaknesses. The ancient Egyptians were known for their selective record-keeping, often omitting events that could reflect poorly on their leadership. Additionally, natural disasters, such as the proposed Santorini eruption, would not necessarily be recorded as divine plagues, especially if they occurred over an extended period. Ultimately, the question of whether the 10 plagues were historical events or mythological constructs remains unresolved. The lack of direct evidence does not conclusively prove or disprove their occurrence. What can be said is that the narrative has immense theological and cultural significance, shaping Jewish identity and religious thought for millennia. In conclusion, while the 10 plagues cannot be definitively proven as historical events, the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. The story's enduring power lies in its symbolic representation of liberation and faith. Further interdisciplinary research may one day shed more light on this ancient mystery. What do you think? History or myth? 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 Or myth?